Okay, this is our probably last discussion about intervals. There's one more thing that you need to know if you've come this far with intervals, and that is that intervals can be inverted. So as we know in music, invert means to flip, as we take the bottom note of a triad or an interval and flip it to the top. So let's do an example here. I have a third on C to E, and I am going to invert that interval by taking the C and putting it now on the top of E instead of on the bottom. That's what it means to invert an interval. So, easy pattern to remember is that, let's take our second, our third, and our fourth, and let's invert each of these intervals. Seconds invert to sevenths. Thirds invert to sixths. And fourths, taking that C, putting it on the top, that's all I'm doing, invert to fifths. Probably shouldn't use equal because they are not equal. Now the reverse is also true, obviously. If you begin with a fifth, actually let's write it out. If I begin with, let's do it on G. If I begin with a fifth and I take the G and put it on top, it inverts to a fourth. So all we need to think of is reversing that pattern. Seconds invert to sevenths, and sevenths obviously invert to seconds. So memorize that. If you can memorize that, then the last thing you need to memorize is that not only do we invert the number or the distance of our interval, we can also invert the quality of our interval. So as you know, there's the 5 qualities: the major, the minor, the perfect, the augmented, and the diminished possibilities of intervals. Here's the formula. Major inverts to minor, as well as minor inverts to major. Perfect inverts to perfect. That makes that easy. And augmented inverts to diminished, as well as the reverse is true. So if I have a minor seventh, and I invert that by moving the D to the top, I now have minor inverts to major, seventh inverts to second. I now have a major second. Let's do another one. I have a minor sixth, E to C, and I'm going to invert it by moving the E to the top. Minor converts to major. I have a major third. Let's try another one. If I begin with a perfect fourth, and I invert the interval by putting the E on the top, by putting the F on the top, I now have a perfect fifth, because perfect inverts to perfect. Let's try an augmented fourth. And if I invert that interval by putting the C on the top, augment inverts to diminish, fourths invert to fifths. So it's just a matter of memorizing the formulas, really. Especially the formulas of how the intervals move, how the qualities change as they are inverted. Good luck with all that interval work.